Let's learn about DLLs in Windows. They allow for an easy way to add mods to our game, and they also allowed me to implement code reloading in my engine while the game is running. So a DLL is just like a normal program, but without a main function. It has some functions that can be loaded and used by other programs. So it is just like a library. It was intended for code reusing, but you as a game developer will benefit most from it because it can allow for easy modding, implementing hot code reloading, and also it allows you to split a big project into multiple components to speed up compilation time. You can rely on the C++ runtime to link statically your DLL to your program using DLL export and DLL import, but that removes a lot of flexibility. You can specify the DLL path, and if your program can't find the DLL, it will just terminate its execution. In order to use the Xinput API that allows you to use the Xbox controller, you have to load the DLL unfortunately. And if that DLL isn't found for some reason, you don't want your game to just not start. You want to be able to play it, but just without controller support. And yes, that can happen. There are multiple versions of Xinput, and you'd want to load the newest if possible, which is not available on older Windows versions. ImGUI had this problem, for example. It has controller support, and I sent a game to a friend, and he couldn't open it because he didn't have the last Xinput version. Okay, in day 9 of this tutorial series, I have 3 files: dll.cpp that will create our DLL, main.cpp that is our program that will load our DLL, and also a header file that will have the function declaration from the DLL, so main can use it. In order to create a DLL using CMake, all you need to do is add this line here. In dll.cpp, I have a function called foo that prints a message. I also have to specify declspec DLL export to tell the compiler to allow this function to be loaded from the DLL. You also have to specify extern-c that disables name mangling, so we can search for our function. If you don't know what name mangling is, well, C++ just messes with our function's name, so it can implement function overloading. But we don't want that here, because we want to find our function in main. There is also some extra stuff, but we'll look at that later. Let's look at main now. I will first press Ctrl-Shift-B to build all of the projects, including the DLL. The DLL will also be created in the same folder as our exe file. This is important because we now need to find this file to load it. To load it, we have to call load library A with the path to our DLL. If the function fails, it returns 0. Now we can call getProcAddress to get a pointer to the function from our DLL. A function pointer is just as it sounds like, but notice that I have this foo_t thing here. This is defined in command.h. Here I have the function declaration, and also I have this typedef. This creates a type for our function that I use to create the function pointer. Now notice that we have to repeat the signature of our function, and as programmers we don't usually like that. So you can use this trick here that does the same thing as above, but you type the function signature only once. Okay, now if the function wasn't found, the pointer will just be set to null. If else, we can call the function. And if you run the program, we can see that it worked. A nice thing is that you can even debug your functions from the DLL without doing anything extra. You can imagine how this mechanism allowed me to implement code reloading in my engine. I just have my gameplay code in my DLL and I just recompile it, while the main program keeps all the memory relevant. You can modify a DLL while it is being opened by another program, so you have to make a copy of the DLL in order to open it, while also allowing the compiler to modify it. Okay, now to close the DLL, you have to call free library. But as with any other freeing related thing, this is done by the OS at exit. So you don't need to call this when your program closes. So what is this thing then? Well, this is called the DLL entry point, and it has a nice documentation. Basically, it is a function called when a program loads the DLL, unloads the DLL, or creates or destroys a thread. This is useful because you can initialize stuff here and also deinitialize stuff. So your homework is to play around with this. Try to print hello here and see how it behaves. Add a hello thread message here and see if you can make it appear on the screen by launching a thread in your main program, after loading the DLL. Also, closing your program will also call this function because you are detaching your thread. So if you open your program here, you basically create a program that can be closed. Okay, so now we will be looking at manipulating a window, and after that, we finally will be creating our own window for our game.